Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mo, and today we're going to be talking about a couple mods that I think are a little bit underrated and underexplored within the confines of shield tanking, and that would be fast deflection and vigilante vigor together, as opposed to something like adaptation or primed redirection or things like that that you would typically consider for shield tanking. I'd like to explore a little bit and show you the benefits of them today. So, obviously, one of the things with adaptation is that you need to be getting hit enough and survive long enough for adaptation to build to its max stacks. Now, a lot of times, shields are not durable enough to actually receive the full damage reduction of, said mod. And that kind of poses a problem to where if you're not even benefiting from the full effects of the mod, why are you using it? Even though it is one of the only ways for shields to gain an extra layer of damage reduction innately. So I have a couple Kalervins here, just showcasing, like, just basically me running around with adaptation. You see that my shields are already basically gone. And that adaptation really did fucking nothing, and the only thing that was helping me is the fact that I have, Prime Redirection giving me a little bit more shields to work with. You see, now here it's helping a little bit. But again, I would have had to have survived up to this point innately without that random invincibility to get to this point. And even then, these are just 5 enemies shooting at me. Now, I would like to compare this to Vigilante Vigor and Fast Deflection. So these two mods are plus 90% shield recharge and minus 45% shield recharge delay. The minus shield recharge delay is the important stat here. So on a normal shield, what you're looking at is a recharge of 1 second. Now, with both of these on, you're looking at 0.2 seconds, which is a massive difference, I would say. Not getting hit for 0.2 seconds is very easy to do, and that getting your shield recharge going faster and more frequently may actually keep you alive in the long run, especially with a shield gate, versus just trying to tank it naturally with, say, a layer of damage reduction from adaptation or a bigger shield in general. So I'm going to showcase that now. As I unfreeze these gentlemen here. You'll give me a minute. See how quickly, even after I get shield gated, my shield almost instantly recharges. Very, very quick shield recharge. I said this is just very light movement. And if you're coupling this thing with Arcane Aegis, which is if your shields are hit, you basically gain a few seconds of invincibility. It basically means that you need to be less attentive to manually resetting your shield gate, which I think is a large benefit to mods like this, over trying to, have, like, a raw shield tanking ability. Because something that's always bothered me is having to basically babysit my own health bar with, the common brief respite build or catalyzing shields or so on and so forth. Catalyzing shields, in fact, goes amazingly with this build as well, which I will throw on now if you really want to take, the extra mod slot. Obviously, you can't stand still with it, because even if you are shot while invincible, that still counts towards your shield regen delay, which is something very noteworthy. Like I said, again, this is just showcasing the raw, ability to reset your shield gate. Again, if I was, say, actually using, like, Brief Respite every so often, if I felt like I was in danger, or I was actually using, other forms of protection abilities, one of the best use cases for this is either Zaku or Titania, where they naturally have enemy accuracy reduction built in, which will further allow you many more chances to reset your shield without even needing to do it manually, which I think is a massive benefit to those two frames. Like I said, I'm not CCing them, I'm not stunning them, it literally is just me, basically running around them in circles, or just having very casual movement. And that is allowing me to still stay alive simply because of the rate at which it will refresh your shield. Obviously, they're eventually going to get a hit in, but I really do think that these two mods have a lot of potential, especially when you start stacking them all together. So, for example, if I were to take this, and if I really wanted to dedicate the mod spot, if you really think that, I'm not durable enough, I can't really do this with this frame. Like, say you don't understand a frame and you get it in circuit or something, or there's a frame that you just haven't built up. This is a very cheap way to, make them very low stress to use. Is once you, mix and stir all these together, then you have something that is actually pretty decent. I use this on a lot of different frames where it's like, oh, if I don't really, have a build for them, or I haven't set them up properly, I will throw all these mods together. And now I don't really have to be, like, stressed about using them. As you can see, especially with adaptation, immediately refilling my shields, especially because my shields aren't necessarily getting depleted immediately, it really showcases that recharge, and it is going to proc Arcane Aegis much, much more quickly. And obviously, like I said, Arcane Aegis is a very temporary invincibility window, if you will. See, now I can even kind of stand still with this, essentially, and just let the Aegis do the work. Like I said, you can, maybe cut one of these mods out, change it to your liking, figure out what works best for you personally. There's a lot of ways I think that this can be applied. But I think that instead of stacking shields, I think going for the shield recharge delay is going to be your best bet. Like, for example, I think that Mesa would benefit greatly from this instead of having, any shield or health mods and trying to tank with that. Because of Shatter Shield. Like I said, this is all about making sure that you don't need to manually reset your shield gate. Like, I can up the ante here and even summon a couple more of them just to exemplify. Once they start actually shooting at me. You see that even with a much larger group now, I am more than capable of just standing here, essentially. Again, especially because of Aegis. But I think, like I said, what really makes this build work is the vigor and the fast deflection. You see how quickly it's able to go back up, and then that just gives you so much more time to trigger Aegis. Like, I can go and cut these from the build and show the difference that it makes. If I'm just using deflection and adaptation. Here, I'll even let my shield reset to max. And you can see how much slower my shield recharges in general. And how much harder it is to actually maintain a higher shield, even with the 90% DR helping me from the adaptation. it is so much more difficult to maintain your shield in any capacity. Like, I'm actually having to move around, but before I could just stand still because of those mods. I think that arguably you could even cut out the shields themselves and kind of let it all work in tandem together. It really depends on how you want it to work. Like I said, especially once you get the adaptation going, the sky really is the limit. You know, if you don't feel like investing a mod slot for shields, you know, you can put in a little bit for, say, something like a blue Tau Forge shard for shields, and just, like, let that do a lot of the work. It's all about making sure that Aegis procs and having enough to make sure that it does. And you can really see, like, how effective this can be with just enough shields. You can really make this work and have a build that feels comfortable even without needing to move around. Where you can basically be almost a Diet Inaros, essentially. For very, very little investment. Like, even if I equip, like, say, like, what's the equivalent of, like, a small amount of shields? Like, Augur Accord is, you know, that's a bit of too much. Let's say, what, like 50 more? Like, that and that is about... If I do this... Yeah, that's about the amount that, like, a Alforge Blue Shard would go for. I don't know what the hell they're shooting at. Not me, obviously. Or now they're shooting me. I don't know why they're not. AI's buggy. That's very strange. But you get the point. I think that there is a lot of potential involved with this if people are willing to put in just a little bit of investment to shield tanking. Over, you know, say, other quality of life. It is something that you really do need to balance your build out for and really optimize. But I think that if you really do make it work, it will work. And you can fit it on a lot more builds than I think you might realize. That is going to be a bit. I hope you enjoyed this, a little bit of a scuff video, but I really do think that people should be discussing these mods a little bit more. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.